Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Euro Trade. I am coming at you from Belgrade, Serbia, right now. I'm visiting my mom for a few days, and because of that, I will have to stay on the combine purely because of the travel rules that Topstep has, because Serbia is not one of the approved countries. So even though I'm a UK resident and citizen, we want to stay compliant. All right, let's have a look at what's going on today. I think I might be focusing on platinum here today. Copper has gone a little bit nuts. It might still be great to trade, but I would prefer to trade it during the COMEX session because I feel I can control risk a little bit better. Yeah, it's a precious metal. Platinum is a precious metal, so we should have some correlation there. What I'm looking for, if I go to slightly higher time frames, first and foremost, yes, we're in a range on the daily chart, but as soon as we start to drop down through the time frames, there is a localized high in this area. We also have a nice gamma wall at 1400. Now, typically what happens to gamma walls is that they tend to be at least pausing points, consolidating points, if not complete reversals, especially during this time of the day. So since we're at the top of the swing, I'm looking for a pullback somewhere down to closer to the value high, which is located at 1381.6. So therefore, my rough target there is somewhere closer to that area. But before we even get anywhere, we first need to extend the initial balance. So I'm waiting for that to happen on a 30-minute chart. It might take a while. It might even retest the 1400, but it's a combine, so we can be a little bit more speculative here. So only one. Also, stop loss required is pretty sizable. Whenever I'm trying to do a break of the initial balance trade, I try to put my stop above the initial balance, so below the initial balance, obviously, if you're longing, and then just to wait for that breakout, just sit, chat, and follow what's going on either Bookmap, but I don't have Bookmap right now because I'm on my laptop with like sort of multiple screens and stuff, but it's still, you know, a travel setup, so it's a little bit weirder. But yeah, let's see what happens. Looking at copper, let's change to copper now. Copper is in a similar, slightly less favorable area. So 4-hour chart, we don't really have any well-defined tops anywhere here. And if I look at where its gamma wall is, it's actually down at 555.50. We have a GEX1 level, gamma exposure level, literally right at this point. So that's not great because gamma exposure level 1 is pretty strong. It might whip it back up. So I wouldn't be doing that. Maybe I want to wait until we actually get to 555 and then maybe look for longs later on in the day as an overall plan. But yeah, so just waiting for platinum. Platinum doesn't really liven up until a little bit later, usually closer to the LME open, which happens at 11:40. Obviously, I'm not on the stream at that time, but sometimes they can actually do this like little flush down, especially once they've tested to these. I think this was a previous day high in Asia. No, actually, this was Asia high. Yeah, so that's a pretty decent level there. The setup here would be effectively either a test of somewhere near the second standard deviation of the Asia swing high, or even a stop run in reverse. But when it starts to consolidate ahead of that, I kind of like to front run that. So yeah, we'll see. Right, let's see who's in the house. I have YouTube, mobile for the comments, and I also have Bruno helping me out. Wake Up AI says, Bruno, top stealing my place. A second stream in a row. It's quite funny. We have people like fighting for who's going to be like the top commenter now. It's hilarious. Yeah, so we have Teo, we have Carlos, we have, yeah, so T3 Metrics is Tom, Drew. All right, let's have a little wake-up session here. I obviously had a long day yesterday because I was traveling, so I'm still a little bit sleepy. All right, bit of selling coming in. Just ones here with some guy selling 5. There's still no breaks of the initial balance, so we've got to wait for that to happen. Anything else interesting? Let's see what is natural gas doing? So NG. Right. Really? Where's natural gas? Here it is. Right, natural gas looking a bit, we look along, right? It's too early for it because it tends to be trading like really slowly at this time of day. But then after 11 my time, which is actually UK time, it's 12 here. So it would be probably in 90 minutes. So that's when you can expect some real commitment initiation of whatever they want to do, right? This is an old level from another time. What do we have gamma walls wise? Gamma wall on natural gas all the way up at 350, 335. Sorry, these laptop screens are just like, what? Granny D over here needs glasses. I forgot to take them, of course, so not great. Put support is also interesting. It is located at 3.1. Also represents the projected kind of volatility to the downside on natural gas. So if you're looking for super good longs and you're somebody who doesn't mind just waiting and waiting and waiting, that could be a decent area for longs if it ever gets there. So summer tends to be the time when natural gas kind of slightly kicks up in demand, but natural gas being natural gas, it can also just go completely down. Also be careful a little bit about the tariff talk. They have reacted a little bit strangely to the tariff talk, even though there's nothing really directly correlated with natural gas, but you know, it's one of those connected, cross-connected assets. So if crude oil is reacting to something, there'll be a little bit of a reaction in natural gas. It's not like a factor of 1 or anything. So yeah, just be mindful of the overall outlook. What am I trying to do here? I am going to go to platinum so I can kind of split it between 30 minutes and then some slightly lower time frame so we can observe what happens at the gamma wall. Obviously big uptrend, but it's kind of consolidating, so I'm not really that keen on running longs around these areas. Let's see what the 2-minute chart does here. Sellers seem to be interested in 1400. Question is whether they're strong enough to actually roll this over. But let's use this little test of the gamma wall has a little bit of a scale in here. And then if we get a chance for a third scale in, it will be when it actually goes into profit. So that would be more adding to the trade that's already kind of started to turn in your favor, which means we need the break of the initial balance, which is somewhere below 1395. If I look at some of the other GEX levels, we have like a minor GEX level at 1390 on platinum. And then below that, nothing until 1375, which would mean my target of value high would be already there. So that's at that point not that relevant because we'll be out, right? Now, I guess is the Widowmaker dead wolf says. I absolutely agree. I mean, especially if you try and swing it. Oh my God, how scary, right? You can have these gaps that just open up 5%, up or down, or 10%, just like casually. And whoever tried to hold natural gas as a swing inevitably had days when, you know, you're like, oh my God, having a heart attack. So I only do natural gas intraday. And typically post 9 a.m. Central into the Euro close. And then if I don't get anything there, I would typically look for the last 90 minutes of NYMEX for a setup. So it's not really a, you know, natural gas is not really a great product for this time of the day. Right, so now we wait. Still a little bit of sellers. Do we have anything on the dome? No real imbalances on the dome here. So yeah. Yeah, nothing to glean there. It's a little bit thin. We have a couple of areas on the dome where there's like nothing going on. See this? So gap, gap, and then a huge gap until 1398. But that can also mean that if somebody comes in with, you know, 5 lots down, it basically can just kind of go through those empty prices. Yeah, so far it's still consolidating at gamma wall. So we're gonna wait. Carlos, why don't you trade NQ or gold? I don't trade NQ because it annoys the hell out of me. I used to trade NQ when I was younger. It got very speculative, meaning that it's got like massive candle wicks either side, and then intra candle when you're watching it, it's so undecisive until the very kind of last second. And as I got older, I just got tired of NQ bullshit, to be perfectly straight with you. And these days I'm looking for something that can give me a decent risk rewards or positive risk rewards, more kind of intraday swings at the particular times of day. And I don't, unless I have to, like unless it's a range bound day or something, I will always default to looking for intraday swings first and foremost, and then just, you know, chilling in a trade for like 5 hours if it starts going my way. NQ is just no, just put it that way for me. But yeah, back in the day when it was less crazy, when the 0 DTEs didn't comprise too many of the daily volume, you know, it was a pretty nifty product, especially with all the tech stocks that were coming out like 10, 12 years ago. But these days, I don't know, every time I look at it, I'm like, oh God, just no. Just can't be doing that. And also, I've always been more of a commodities trader as well. So my specialty is like actually COMEX and NYMEX. It's not so much London. London, I like to trade DAX. And obviously, we have this session. I've been pretty straightforward with you guys that the initial idea behind this particular session was DAX. Obviously, we're a year into this, and still no DAX. So here we are trading, or trying to trade copper. But you know, my edge really, even on copper, platinum, crude oil, it was always NYMEX or COMEX. So it's been a big learning experience for me as well all last year to find something that we can trade. The probabilities that I know work exquisitely well, again, are all in that part of the day. But yeah, well, I'm just kind of collecting data, and I mean, copper has been very kind to me. It's been a pretty good trade, but I have noticed with, you know, going back through some of my stats in Edgewonk, the time of day when I do best is actually from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. my time. So kind of that overlap between the London Metal Exchange starting to trade and then overlap into COMEX. That's when then usually you see a lot of initiation, because obviously LME is one of the largest metal exchanges in the world, so naturally they have quite a bit of volume. And I find that every time, you know, we're kind of in this time zone, it's all a bit weird and non-committal, and you know, apart from the Frankie fake out. So if you have a top that Asia made or bottom, and then they take it out, kind of like a liquidity sweep, and then a reversal, that tends to be, you know, the trade. But obviously that doesn't come every day, so bit sketchy London. I'm gonna say it's not my favorite session for these products, definitely. You know, I'm kind of looking forward to the day someday when we get DAX, then we can do some nice trades. But in the meantime, we're just trading a bit of copper, trading a bit of platinum, trying not to dig a huge hole, and then wait for the time of day when those products are really shining. And bizarrely, like Asia tends to have more committed movement in precious metals than the first 2 hours of London. It's almost like LSE is like, yeah, we're just trading something else. It's like, what are you trading? Oh, FTSE, Bund, we're trading DAX. When I worked for a London prop firm, DAX and Bund were like pretty massive. That and the currencies like pound futures and euro futures as well. But then in and around post sort of European austerity measures like 2012, 2013. And then for many, many years after, it just got so quiet on the currency front, because I came from euro dollar. That was my jam for the first 5 years from 2007. And then I kind of started slowly branching into other things, found crude oil, pretty much married it for 12 years. And then last year, crude oil went weird. You know, these things will happen. Markets go through, you know, volatility, changes, market mechanics shift. If you do this long enough, you will start noticing that. I mean, if we look at NASDAQ back in the day, you know, now all of you guys are obsessed with NASDAQ. When I first started trading it, NASDAQ had like a 75 point overall like average daily movement, whilst ES had like a 3 or 4 points. Like that was it. If you got like 20 ticks on the day from ES, it was like, okay, it's a pretty decent day. And now it's like, well, you know, 50, 60, 100. And then we have NQ, which is like 500 points. Yes, easy. It's just interesting to see things kind of changing as we go along. I wish we had volatility bands based on VWAP here. Did that ever happen? I don't think so. Maybe I can switch them on over here. And also, I really need to stop. Like something that I've noticed, I'm kind of constantly front running things. That's something that I'm just kind of talking about, you know, performance and stuff. I'm trying to front run things like mean reversions to value, and then I've found myself not really waiting for breakages of the initial balance. So maybe that's something that I need to change. I was doing some journaling and I was like, no initial balance, smash. What are you doing in a trade like right now, for example, as well? But yeah. Jay says DAX is better than NASDAQ. Yeah, I agree. I love DAX. It's a really, really good product, like very, very smooth. Let's see if I can maybe bring that up so we can. I don't know whether we're going to have a great day today on DAX because it's one of those. It was a pretty big day yesterday. Very, very smooth upside move. So I managed to catch some of that. Yeah, on this bloody laptop I don't have it because I haven't used it since like January. There it is. Let's just load up on the template. Okay. DAX, I'm just going to change this to 30 minutes so we can have a look. Yeah, so that's a very nice sort of what's going on here? What's happened to my template? Hold on. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, so doing the Frankie fake out here. So if you look at what I'm talking about, we had the high from just the end of day trading and then smash through the high, reverse. And now we're in a holding pattern, testing VWAP from the downside. Because of the proximity of the value area, there is a chance that this goes into a value acceptance, maybe to get to at least this average session range London low, which is lower. Alternative, we get to value high and then just turn around. But nothing too interesting here. There's kind of a failed auction in progress, but no meaningful level to back the trade. So for me, DAX today might be a bit of a hangover day after that big run up. And do we have any releases? Because I can't look at so many times, so many things today. Chat, tell me what releases we have today. Take a look at the calendar for me. Give you homework. Did you trade oil when it went below zero? So I did trade it intraday until the very moment that they stopped trading. That was my best year ever. Like it was a crazy year, and crude oil up until COVID was crazy anyways. It was a pretty volatile product, and then COVID hit, and everything just started moving. We suddenly went from having an average daily range of 300 ticks, 350 ticks, to 700 ticks happening daily, like no problem. And it wasn't just like, oh, it goes one way. It would whip back up and then smash all the way back down and then just keep going. Very fun, but strangely I found that it was still following the same structure, so still the same time of day, still the same everything. It was just like a bit of a extended range, but same structure. That was very interesting to see. I'm gonna try and hydrate here because the plane yesterday, it was just ugh. I hate planes with passion. Yeah, so then after it went negative, obviously the exchanges freaked out. They were like, well, this is not what we signed up for. We don't have infrastructure in place. Futures are not supposed to go negative. And it's like, oh, great. All right, so it wants to hunt that stop now. Yeah, I need to stop doing these front-running trades before we smash the initial balance. So next time, remind me if you see me doing that. Just ID. Initial balance is not extended yet. What you doing? But yeah, let me just remind myself what this high is. Oh god, this laptop is just like so annoying. All right, it's actually further up. Yeah, so it's up at 14.05. Let's wait until they stop around that. And then maybe we get failed auction to the downside. It's a new hypo. Change the color. So that's red. And then go, that's, I said it's Asia high, right? Asian high. That's a typo. I mean, I suppose you can say Asian high. Asian high. Oh, that's annoying me. Let's put it in the middle. There we go. Okay. So if it does this now, it will be technically the Frankie fake out late. But let's wait for at least a 5-minute candle to show us what they want to do, whether they want to hold above the initial balance or not. Probably not at this time of day. Let's put this to the middle as well. Okay, that's a little bit less. So when I saw Frankie fake out potential. All right, we have a little bit of an imbalance to the downside here, 9 and 13. Not great. It's not great, but a little bit. We still need price action to reverse and show us that they don't want to hang above the initial balance anymore. So, but yeah, COVID, futures going to zero. This crazy time. Kind of like Trump tariffs, right? Anything that brings extraordinary volatility. Look at this guy with 13 here. That got filled. Okay. And then retail traders going for the breakout. Okay. Somebody wanting 14.05 up at high of day. Of course, we don't know whether these are, you know, old positions getting out or new positions coming in. That's where the open interest might come in. Might have a look at the open interest actually. Stock pursuit says German unemployment was 2 a.m. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that was very early. That was at the open. Yeah, jobless clams, as Hogue wants to say. Jay says, long 67.94 on crude oil. I didn't bring up crude oil, so I'm gonna do like a couple of minutes here to bring up some levels. But just in general, I absolutely hate being long on crude personally. Why? Because every time I'm long, I always feel like somebody's going to pull the rug out from underneath my feet. Because that product over very long periods of time just generally has a very downward bias. And let me just see what the options are doing in crude. And again, I'm doing this. Forgot to bring my mouse, of course. I was just a pinnacle of organization yesterday. All right, let's have a look. Right, so there is a GEX1 level right at 68. That can be supportive. Can definitely be supportive. Your gamma wall is higher, up at 70. And that's also where the projected volatility for the day is, just underneath that 69.75. But there is a put support on the downside at 67. I would prefer to run like any sort of swing. I don't know whether you're planning a scalp or like a shorter term trade, but if I'm planning longer term trades, like see this gamma wall that I have here on platinum, I'm kind of using that as my orientation. And then I want to, you know, snipe it for like 160, 170 ticks potential. Whenever we're away from those big reversal areas, I'm always thinking that that's a weaker setup for me. So even though it might trade up to the gamma wall and then start messing around, there's still a potential that you know, they kind of flush it down to put support first, and it's always like a lot more sketchy for me. But yeah, it's a decent setup. I don't know how long you want to keep that, but yeah, let's see what happens with that too. Paul H says, hope you had a good journey. Christ, I can't even talk today. I only trade futures to Topstep, and I'm beginning to think DAX is something you just made up. Man, I wish. It's like the 40 biggest German companies, right? It's kind of like the ES of Germany. It used to be 30 companies, now it's 40. And you know, will we ever see this DAX, so to speak? I hope so. You know, I'm very patient. You know, as a trader, you've got to be patient, and just I'm actually hoping now that we've gone just Topstep. I've noticed they kind of kicked up the timelines of some of the stuff they've been working on. Suddenly they're like, oh, we finished the trade limits. So we finished this. So we finished that. So maybe now they can maybe turn their attention to another exchange. Maybe get a Forex feed so we can finally get that conversion between USD dashboard and the euro per tick, which is what the problem is. And then we'll have DAX, you know. And I'm also hoping with the brokerage in sites, they've got to have different exchanges, right? So as a client, you should be able to just get access to any data you want, surely. And then. Maybe we can get DAX, and that'll be like, that will be the day that I will probably do like a little celebration. Might even have morning wine to celebrate. I won't be doing that, but you know, it will be the day, definitely. 30-year bond auction. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a weird moment. Yeah. Anto says, I had a big problem, paid for the Express account, but I have not received it. The money from the back has been withdrawn. Look in Discord. That's usually where you might want to check if you go, what is it, status updates or something like that. They have ambassadors that take care of that. I'm not a support person. I'm just here to, you know, I'm not IT, you know, I'm not tech support. I can help with some things, but generally they tend to have designated people that will be able to help you. I can't help you. I can't see your account. I can't see any admin stuff. But yeah. Right, some more sellers here to the downside. We still need to have a bearish candle. Yeah, I'm very tired today, guys, though. I've got to say, I'm absolutely knackered, so yeah. I did do whilst I was still at the airport, I noticed that copper did, if you're on my Twitter, you would have seen it. I was, we were a bit late on the takeoff, so I was like, let me just see before I lose connection. Even though it turned out we had in-flight Wi-Fi, which I didn't really, because not all planes have in-flight Wi-Fi over here, especially not on short flights. So I was like, let me see if, you know, if maybe Euroclose is turning copper around, because my flight was like just taken off. And sure enough, it was. I only put in, and just for the volatility that copper currently has as a result of the new tariffs, I only put in 3 micros, and I held it all the way through my flight. I had to get a connecting flight in Munich. Just don't, because I couldn't. It's like in season here, so all of the flights are just full, like completely full. You cannot find anything, any spaces. So I did manage to get a business seat on Lufthansa flight, but it was going via Munich. So that was like 2 hours more than what I wanted. So I knew I had a pretty long day ahead of me, and I was like, okay, well, I can kick it off during Euro close when my flight was taken off, and I'm gonna see what happens when I come back. And it's only a 3 micro trade, Euro close, pretty high probability trade. So I just enjoyed the flight. I watched a couple of things on my phone because I have one of these big sort of Galaxy things, so it's pretty good. Yeah, and then we landed in Munich, and I checked the trade, and it was $570, and I'm like, okay, that was pain-free. And now I'm in Serbia, so now we can't do live or XFA because it's not one of the countries. So I'm going to be messing around in my Combine. I mean, obviously I'm going to trade my private account, but that's going to be much, much later today. All right. Some sellers. There we go. Where did they stop in the end? They whipped through the Asia high by, yeah, about 35 ticks. And let's see if in the next 2 minutes we actually manage to close below the Asia high, then we have a decent chance. I would like to see it actually as a bearish engulfing here if the setup that I'm thinking of is going to transpire. If it doesn't, this is just another break to the upside, in which case I don't want it. I don't really want to be a buyer here. Don't think that's a good level. I want to see like a really, really nice sell-off and then maybe catch it into the Euro close as a nice swing long that has pretty good chance of holding it to the next day if that's your jam. But yeah, so basically what I want to see here, now that we hunted above the Asia high, different levels, same idea, right? So we want to see return into the range and then effectively breaking down eventually through the gamma wall again, like they tried to do in the beginning. And then maybe, just maybe, going into a bit of a sell-off. But since now we have the extension of the initial balance higher, that changes the probabilities of continuation down. So then first target would probably be VWAP from Globex, which is here at 31,393, roughly. And then if it does go lower, it really needs that overlap volume because it needs a big push. So yeah, we'll see. Mordecai wants to know, HG, what time is COMEX initial balance GMT, given that LME opens at 11 and COMEX overlap can provide welcome volatility? What time is COMEX? Very good question. So COMEX in UK times starts technically at 13:20, so 1:20 p.m. But I really I tested this with some of our indicators, and it doesn't make a difference for the first 10 minutes because not many platforms will allow you to start any indicators on like 20 minutes past. It's either 15 or 30. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, you have to like maybe consolidate like a 1 minute chart and then try it that way. But it really doesn't make that much difference. So I actually start my COMEX initial balance at 1:30 p.m. And then obviously you can have first 30 minutes of COMEX goes one way. On the vast majority of the days, in the second 30 minutes of initial balance, there will be some sort of a pullback or even a move in completely the opposite direction. So just make sure you kind of take that into consideration. But if you are in one of those days where initial balance straight from the open goes into a single direction that matches London, that actually gives you room for any kind of swing trades that you might be carrying over from the London session to withstand any sort of pullback that comes later. And then you have the post-NY cut, which is after our 3 p.m. That's 9 a.m. Central. That is when you will either see like a nice big push in the same direction if you're in a single direction day, or it's a danger time for reversals. Whether they last or not depends on what sort of levels you have there, but yeah. look at this. It's closing right on the Asia high. So now I have to wait for another 5 minutes or front run this trade again, which we could do because we're in a combine. We can like go, oh, let's try this. So let's maybe try like something like this. Just you know, failed auction front run. Again, being a little bit grasshoppery here because it's a combine. I'm gonna just put my stop slightly above this 1410 area. I don't like putting my stops around round numbers. This is if this short works, that's okay because we are around 1405. And then I can adjust this again. If it does start to come back below the Asia high, then we can adjust it. But for now. And then what I also like to do if I'm trying to trade a, you know, a little bit of a bigger size, it's a different way to manage things. You can kind of go into, and I'm sure you've seen me do this many times, you can go into two lots and then you do a partial stop out somewhere in and around the high, just in case this kind of like really starts to run. It offers you the opportunity to control your stops. I use these with the help of MAE, so maximum adverse excursion, and then a few ticks outside of that. That's where I would place my partial stop, and that can improve how much downside you're actually looking at. But yeah, let's see what they do with it. Oh man, should have had 2 coffees, not just one. iWorld says you can't trade a live account in Serbia. Sorry, I joined a little late. So whenever, no, these are some of the modified rules about travel. And this is because, you know, they're moving towards sort of a brokerage thing. And I know it's a different side of the business, but we still need to like comply with things. And, you know, if you're in a combine, nobody cares. But when you get to a funded level account, and I have a live account with them, since Serbia is not on the list of the approved countries, you really shouldn't be trading. And you know, it's just to comply with regulations and all that. But yeah, if you're outside of the territory where future trading is allowed, then technically that's not compliant with regulation. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, look, I actually need a little bit of a break because I moved house, like you guys saw me in the new office back in Surrey, and they you know, the whole process was just so stressful. Like UK has very archaic laws when it comes to house sales. And we really wanted that house, and it was just like, it would have been heartbreaking if we had lost it, quite frankly. It's so perfect for our lifestyle, for our 8 dogs, for, you know, the private secure dog field is just down the road, that the layout of the rooms, the layout of the kitchen, the, you know, the size, and like everything is so perfect. But the process was just horrible. So I've been very happy and lucky that we've, you know, finally moved, but I felt a little bit of a burnout in the last 2 months, and I'm just like, God, I need a bit of less kind of pressure. And obviously, I've done pretty well in May. You know, it was high volatility, so everything was just happening pretty quickly. All the targets were being hit like in 3 seconds. Not 3 seconds, but like, you know, my normal trades are like 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours. My targets were being hit in like 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then if I held it, that would be like a monstrously massive trade. So we're talking like 300, 400, 500 ticks targets. And then, obviously everything slowed down, which is fine. I thought, oh, this is great. But actually, slow markets, for me, it's, I need like a fine balance between nice volatility that is relatively directional, but when everything is just dead, it does irk me, and I've noticed, like, as the weeks go by, I've been trying to do my own live streams again as well, and I still have this stupid illness that gets in the way. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I can take on more work now, and then I would get really tired, and then I would start to hurt everywhere for no reason whatsoever, and then I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm just gonna go see my mom, and I have a few days off. Few days off the live account as well, just to chill out a bit, not have to put all of your mental capital. And then also another thing that I've noticed, I've been trying to trade without taking breaks. Don't do that. Because I trade, have to do these streams, obviously. So then I would maybe get another setup on like DAX during the prime time or between 11 and 1. So then I would be like, okay, now I'm going to do something. So I'm going to clean up the kitchen or something, just to like make the time go faster. Really, in hindsight, I should be lying down and resting. And then I would get the COMEX or an IMEX open. Then I would be like sitting down to watch that. And then I could create. So I found myself like working like 10, 12 hours a day. And it's just too long. So I need to manage my time again. I need to be a little bit more strict with myself, really. Just to go, right, this is the time slot. Lock yourself out. Don't stare at the chart. Fresh eyes. Go have a walk in the garden. Play some ball with the doggos. Lie down for 15, 20 minutes. And then look at the markets again. And actually, Jerome was very helpful because I talked to him about me kind of mixing and matching analysis from like one session to the next. And he said, well, try this. And it was actually a very helpful tip that he gave me. So yeah. Topstep should expand region availability. Okay, so it's not Topstep, it's actually CFTC. So let me clarify this. And also we have countries like South Africa cannot trade with Topstep. Serbia cannot trade with Topstep. Many countries that are considered a little bit dodgy on the trade side, they are generally not allowed by the CFTC because they are seen as high risk, with very good reason, might I add. Very good reason. So I'm not kind of like going, oh yeah, Topstep should bring more countries. Like, it's not their decision. It's actually CFTC's decision, who they deem acceptable to do deals with. So it's out of Topstep's control. It's somebody else making decisions on which countries are going to be eligible, and that's like non-negotiable. So whilst I would love Serbia to be an approved country, I can see why it's not. Like, quite frankly, I'm from here originally because I was born and raised here, and then like some 20 odd plus years I moved to London, and then I only have a UK passport at the moment. So right now, as things are, like every time I come here, there's always something going on. Like, it's never boring. So it's like, oh great, yes, here we go again, kind of thing. Even now, like they have protests, and so it's just a bit weird. Yeah, if you want to go anywhere, you never know whether they're going to block a main road again. It's just like, God, here we go again. And this is some of the reasons why I don't live here anymore. I've been through 2 wars and a bombing whilst I was a teenager. And I just went, okay, enough is enough. I just want to live somewhere where you want to just have a normal life, man. Like worry about your own shit, not about whether you're gonna be alive tomorrow or not. But yeah, in hindsight, it did breed like huge emotional resilience in me, which is why I'm not really that bothered by trading and whatever. It's just, it is what it is, right? Trades poke into many people's egos, and when you have relatively low emotional resilience, I would say that it's going to be more difficult for you as a trader. But for me, because of my life and everything that we've been through in here, it's just not, not really that big of a deal. It's probably why I'm okay trading with lower accuracy and high risk reward as well. But I do have a cutoff point. Like I can't trade with 30% accuracy. That starts to get to me. So I actually need to have accuracy between 40 up to about 53%. That's where I'm like most comfortable. Absolutely fine with that. Losing like 6 trades out of 10, no problem. Losing 7 or 8 out of 10, I'm a little bit like, oh, okay. And usually when that starts to happen, it means that I'm doing something out of my own playbook, not going, this is the playbook, but front running things, and that's always gonna come to bite you. So yeah, burnout, all of them, front running trades at wrong times of day and all that. So you always have to keep on top of your skills, and you have to almost do it on a daily basis. Like, what are you doing? It's like, are you following the rules? Are you not following the rules? Are you waiting for price action, or are you just randomly clicking buttons based on the level that has worked for you many times in the past, but today it's not, because you don't have the price action that increases the probabilities of the setup working out and all that. So yeah, sometimes it's good to just step away, remove some risk, try to reset, try to rest, don't stare at the charts. Obviously I have to, because I'm not, obviously we do these shows, but going into combine, it's like I don't care about combines, so we could just click buttons all you like. At the same time, I want to make sure that when I do come back, like on Sunday and then Monday, that I have my journal in front of me and going, okay, what was the problem on that particular day? And even though I've been doing pretty well, there's still things that I've noticed about myself that I could have done better, and then that needs to be reined in and kind of put into a box and locked away. So yeah. Again, just talking to you as, friend to friend, some of the struggles that people generally always go through. Sometimes there's this idea that once you're profitable, there's never, like, that's it, right? That's like you've arrived. It's not like that. It's always like, you turn around and you're like, oh, great, I've spent the last 6 months in profit. Oh, that's nice. So I haven't had any major problems. And then just as you start thinking you're the bee's knees to, the trading world, you suddenly go, oh, I can do no wrong. Just click, click, click. And then, after 2 days, you're like, oh, okay, so what changed? And that's when you have to start, like, the introspective side. It's like, what changed? What happened? What did I do wrong? And there will be things that you've done wrong. Like 9 times out of 10, it's not the market, it is you. All right, let's go into maybe copper, because platinum is just deciding to go into another long, and I don't care for it here. And again, some of you, when you start to lose a couple of trades and the hypo doesn't work out, you are staying on the same product and just smashing more and more trades and more trades. I usually give it a couple, and then I go, okay, don't like it. Next. And then I move on to something else, right? I have that ability because obviously I look at probably about 7 or 8 things. I don't trade all of them in the same day, obviously. Micro ether, that's such a weird thing. What am I looking for? Copper, right? Okay, let's have a look at what copper is doing. Copper is at the projected volatility of the day. Where's the ATR? Wow. ATR averaged over the last however many candles, that's 280. That's crazy. Hold on. Is that right? It can't be right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we've actually come up to We're sitting at 206 already on the day for copper in the session range. ADR has come up to 421, so we have some room. But again, let's try similar thing here. Not that though. Again, I'm probably copying the risk settings from something else, but yeah. So projected volatility for the day right around these levels. Average session range already exhausted for London. Initial balance to the downside, creating a bit of a drop-based drop on the supplies and demands. Very spiky. Very spiky. Gamma ball down at 555. So somewhere down here. Roughly there, can't be bothered. So yeah, let's see whether anyone wants to sell it here. Where's VWAP? Right on top of VWAP. So this could be like smash VWAP test and then maybe further lows. London has done that in the past. The better thing about copper is that we have extended the initial balance already, so at least we have that. And again, LME not open yet. We still have another hour and 10 minutes. So yeah. Asmaram says, yesterday I lost my futures account. Wanted to test the operation with 2 micro contracts and a 25K account. 25K account? But unfortunately, I got caught in the NQ bull run. I don't know who you went with. Topstep doesn't have 25K account. But if you're going to trade full NQ, so Admiram, do tell me whether you traded MNQ or whether you traded NQ, because getting a small sized account and then going into a mini on NQ when we have higher volatility days, that's insane. It's like you're not going to last one trade, let alone one day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months. Oversizing is a common problem, right? So stop oversizing. I wouldn't go any lower than 50K account sizes on M and Q. So M and Q, 50K, try to pass that, try to reach a payout on a 50K. It has the best sort of drawdown to target ratio, which means in any company, obviously Topstep has their parameters, other people have their parameters, but generally 50K across the board tends to be the most favorable account. Beginner friendly if you've never done prop firms, and prop firm trading it's different, right? Because it's like, many people are like, well, they don't really give you 50K, only give you 2K. It's like, yeah, because it's a prop firm. So they give you, in the beginning, they want to test your skills. There's trust to be built. Then, eventually you kind of work up to slightly bigger sizes. But before they open up the purse strings of any sort, there's always a trust period. And in fact, I don't know whether you watch Lunchbox Trading or Hogue's Heroes, as we're calling them now, with me and Anne-Marie and Hogue. We were talking about how the clearinghouses worked. And that there was a guy that Hogue was talking about who was like, I don't know, short an inordinate amount of contracts just before there's a Black Monday many moons ago. And he was allowed to open more positions even though his position was well under. And eventually they started to liquidate it, and he tried to fumble with filling 5 lots. He wanted 50, but they only said, well, we can give you 5. And then he did 10 lots of 5 with a brokerage. But the reason why they allowed them to still open the trade is because they believed that he was good for the money. So therefore the clearinghouse would put up the cash that he would need to cover the margin or whatever, because they knew him. That was the only reason, because they knew him. And that's how it used to be. It was like a lot of who do you know, and do they know you? Do they know you're good for the money? And prop firms, in many ways, they're kind of like that as well. where, you know, when you first join them, they're like, well, we're not going to be giving you a full 50K right now. You need to earn your way to that. But the major thing that I don't think is talked about enough is that prop firms mitigate risk to your own savings. So instead of you having to put up 2,000, full on 2,000 into AMP or somewhere, and then make all the same mistakes that you're going to make in a combine that you paid 49 bucks for and messed it up, and on paper lost 2K, but really net you lost 49 bucks. Isn't that worth any more, like so much more than whatever capital you're complaining about that they're not giving you? It's like, it's mitigation of risk. Be the risk manager. So just go, well, downside risk is this, right? And then once you get past the combine, you figure out the risk rules, and you do have to play by the rules. I'm sorry, but it's like, you want to be a prop trader, you want to mitigate risk, you play by their rules. The rules are there. And to be honest, when I came into prop trading and I got introduced to risk parameters, I didn't know anything about that. Like you know, in 2012, I was just a swing trader. Like the concept of a daily loss limit was not a thing. I had a concept of a weekly loss limit, but even that was like kind of like, well, I'll probably stop if I try 3 times in a week and it doesn't work out. Then I'm going to wait for the setup. You know, it was not like, oh yeah, we can lose this much. It was more like the number of trades for me, and it still is in many ways. Even intraday, I dislike the daily loss limit. I prefer to run it by the number of trades that I do per day. It just works for me, and it's worked for many of my my students as well. But the whole point that I'm trying to make here is that once you pass that first stage and you get proof of concept by staying in a combine for like 3-4 weeks, passing it with a sustainable practice, with not too much drama, not going 3K one day, 2K next day, you know, blow up the third day, or how it normally goes, put yourself in a hole in the first day, lose 50% of the maximum loss limit, so you lose $1,000 in a 50K, and then spend the rest of the combine dragging yourself out of that. That is the worst thing you can do. It puts you on a terrible, terrible side of things. And especially when people get to the XFA stage, rules again change. Not necessarily because the rules have changed on paper, but they change in your head because suddenly, oh my God, this is now an asset. I can get a payout from this. You know, so your brain starts doing weird things to you. And there's fear, there's myriad of emotions that start happening, and then you start messing things up again. So it's yet another skill level that you have to battle through. But let's say you do really well in an XFA, you generate some profits, you get put in the live. Now here's what the rules change yet again, because now you're trading for real prop. They're not going to allow you to come into a prop firm with 20K, 50K, 100K balance and trade with no daily loss limit. Like, forget about that. No firm has ever done that. Like, they will at least have like a maximum loss limit. One of the first firms, well, not first firm, I think it was a second firm that I went to, they had a monthly loss limit. So they didn't have a daily or weekly, but they had a rough idea, and they would generate the amount of capital that they're going to give you based on the track record that you had at the time. So you needed at least 1 year's worth of track record from another company. So not like you coming there with like, look at my statements. They didn't care about that. They cared about you showing them from another prop firm how you traded in the previous year, and then they would decide what sort of capital to give you. Now, some prop firms even go to 3 years track record. If you have your own personal brokerage statements, they always have to be verified and audited through a third party, but most of them will not even take that because it's a personal brokerage. And it's like, I don't care what you do with your own money. I want to see how you do with prop firms. So it's a different world. It's a different skill. It's kind of like being, you know, playing a bit of basketball with your friends or signing up for the NBA. It's obviously going to be rules. You know, there's going to be regulations, there's going to be things you can do on the pitch and you can't do. You can get benched because you break the rules. It's the same thing, right? Different level of skill. But once you get to the live account, let's talk about that. you will suddenly have a daily loss limit. So even though you might have run up your XFA to crazy numbers as soon as you had a little bit of balance in there, that's probably not going to be possible immediately in a live account. I'm going to tell you now. Is that a bad thing? No, I think it's a good thing. I think it's protection for everybody. Keep you in the live account for long enough so that you actually have a chance to do stuff. But it does require you to modify your approach yet again. So you suddenly can't go, hey, I've got 50K to play with. Today I'm going to risk 7 grand. It's like, well, have you made 7 grand or something in the live? If yes, maybe the risk team will be okay. Maybe we can open it up a little bit. But if you didn't, they're just going to tell you, hello, what do you want? I want to increase my daily loss limit. No. So, it's protection from ourselves. And usually in our experience, and also in my experience, when people go into a drawdown, they then ask for a bigger loss limit. It's like, no, you should be asking for your loss limit to be increased when you're doing well, not when you're sucking, But, we're changed. We're weird that way, so. Brader says, hello, D. So are we allowed to have 5 XFAs even if they're mixed size? Yes, but when they come to transfer you, they are going to take let's say you have a mix of a couple of 50Ks, 150K. What they're going to do is they will take, I believe, the largest account that you have, and that will be your cap. So if you make anything over that, that's not going to be transferred to the live account. Because remember, XFAs, guys, is still sim, right? So anytime you run up a nice big balance, where does that money come from? They're like, oh, what happens to the rest of my money? Well, it's sim. It's like, it's effectively the trial period. Think of it as the trial period before the prop desk decides whether to put real capital behind you. And the real capital will come from where? Well, not from the XFA. It comes from the company's own pool of funds designated to fund traders, right? It doesn't come from thin air because, you go elsewhere, you open up a demo account with them and you run up a big balance there, go to them and say, can you now pay me like with real money? And they'll just be going, yeah, F off, mate. What? But prop firms have changed that. We now have a model where you can prove yourself in a safer environment, very low risk to the company while still generating business revenue, obviously. And then that revenue is effectively, some of it goes towards funding traders. Do many people get to that point? No, this is a tough industry, man, very tough. So if you want to make it, get better. Like there's no, like, oh, I lost my face because I was oversized. Why were you oversized? Oh, because I thought, don't think. Just don't think. Stop thinking. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's difficult. It's not fair. Life isn't fair. And some people get to live, others never make it to live. Why? Because they're probably either not committed enough or they are. We see it on Neuro Wednesdays as well. We have some people who keep coming up with the same exact problem. Oh, blew up my XFA. Why did you blow up your XFA? Did you trade with size? Yes. Why did you trade with size? Oh, do you know that Topstep XFAs now have a trade limit size? So trades, you can go in here and go contract limits. Look at that. See that? Why aren't you using that? Yeah. Oh, I traded NQ instead of MQ. Why don't you have a symbol block? Like, do everything in your power to stop yourself from doing dumb shit. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no excuse, really. If you want to make it, you have to rein in your gremlins. All the trading gremlins, they go, size up, size up. Oh, you lost a trade, do another trade, do another trade. You have to just go, off you go, off my shoulder. You go stand in the corner with a naughty step. And put all of these things in place so that you do not get to a point where you allow yourself to make decisions under pressure when you haven't practiced that skill. Once you get to a point where you can control yourself under pressure, after all of these systems have said, it's the end, or I want to size up. You can't. You've designated 3 M&Qs as your top contract size. There's no more excuses, guys. Like all of the stuff that Topstep is doing. I know that there's a lot of like, Topstep, they make money when we lose. It's like, it's just to exploit the industry statistics. That's nothing to do with, industries like that. Everybody does that. Everybody does that. You exploit where there's a demand for a certain service, and then you offer that service, and that's business revenue, right? That's all it is. Like, don't make it personal, man. But yeah, if you're having trouble with your discipline, use crutches, shackles, everything. Here they are, right? Personal data loss limit. Get into a new combine. If you've never passed a combine, or you've never held an XFA past like a day or a week, you've never gotten a payout, this is for you, right? Get into a new XFA, put shackles on you. Don't allow yourself to lose more than 10% of the overall maximum loss limit per day. So that doesn't mean per trade. It means you put this on at like 450, right? If it's 150K. That is your entire daily budget. So split that budget into however many trades you want to do. That's going to give you your position size. That's how you survive and learn. Now, once you get to a point where you're profitable, you're taking money out, you're taking regular payouts, you've taken 4 payouts from like wherever, and now you're going, all right, I can now go into another combine, mess around, size up, get another account, and then use the same thing. Be very, conservative with your initial steps. Otherwise, you're going to lose an XFA again. But if you don't, and if you do the same steps that worked last time, you're now going to have another account and another asset where you can take payouts from. But at this point, like, look at all the stuff that we have. We have personal data loss limits. We have trade limits. We have weekly trade limits, so per day and per trade. You want to trade 3 times per day? Put it in. Here, maximum trades per day, 3. So now, in your brain, instead of going, I have 1 million trades per day, well, I'm just going to keep clicking buttons. No, now you know you have 3 swings at the bat. Make your choice wisely, right? Where are you going to enter? Are you still going to enter that nonsense trade that you're like, oh, let me just see if this works. Click. That's 1 trade down. You have 2 left. Until your brain learns that there are rules, that they're non-negotiables. They're like eating and brushing teeth and, anything that you do in your life, take your kids to school. They're non-negotiables. You have to do them. Until your brain gets to that state, and you just go, okay, well, 3 trades per day, that's all I've got. You will not advance further because your brain, it doesn't want to follow rules. Why? Because it looks at it as a danger, fight or flight response kicks off, all rational thinking goes away, prefrontal cortex takes a vacation and goes, bye-bye, I'll see you tomorrow. And then all the trading gremlins come and they're like, get another trade, do 1 more trade, size up, oh my God, you've lost, you suck, you're this, you're that. And that leads to absolute disaster, stress, bad results. So use these. You have simple blocks, you have trade limits, you have contract limits. Christ, man, like what? Do you want me to go over there, fly over there, hold your hand? Like what? Do you want Michael to come and hold your hand as you're setting the risk? Like, I don't know what else people want. We have everything here. Everything. Like if I needed anything else, I would say weekly lockouts for the risk settings, or at least for a particular part of the day. So on some of my other risk tools, I actually have the settings locked up from 9 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. And then if I want to change something the next day, like let's say I had a really big day, I want to maybe get a little bit more of a daily loss limit, or maybe allow myself a couple more trades per day if I'm performing well. At that point, I'm gonna go wait after 9, change the rules, and then the next day I still can't change them. So that would be the only thing that I would ask them to do. So it's like custom lockouts for a particular time period that is repeatable every day without you having to lock out the settings for Globex or things like that. So yeah. Kenny D, how many trades do you do in a day? So normally I aim between 3 and 5, especially if I'm looking at like 3 different products. So I'll try a couple on one. If that doesn't work, I will then leave it alone, do something else. And then if I've done like 3 or 4 trades for London, and depends on whether I'm down, how much down I am or not, I will then kind of designate maybe another 2 for COMEX at like times of day when I know that I have a high statistical probability of trades working out. And that's never really, on these products, that's never really London, I'm going to say. It's going to be DAX. When I trade London, it's like 11 till 1 my time. That'll be like the prime time for me to do DAX trading. Sometimes I do Frankie fake out whenever it turns up, but that's not every day. For all the other times, I will be aiming to do the rest of my trades during post and my cut into the euro close. I don't get a good trade there, or there's no trade setup, I will then wait till the 90 minutes of COMEX or NYMEX, so basically lunchtime in New York, and immediately after to try and see whether there's another trade there. So my whole day is that just where I can trade whatever I want will be DAX in the morning, copper, platinum, or DAX from 11 to 1, whichever one looks the best. Then a break, so I don't trade typically through the initial balance. Sometimes I carry over copper trades, but they're not trades that start during the initial balance. They usually already started, like maybe this one. And then I will have a break between my 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Then I'll come back and I will watch for another break of the initial balance, usually focusing on RBOB or natural gas. Sometimes even GC, like gold, if it's looking good. But yeah, that's basically my day. So if it's a range-bound day, I will allow myself 10 trades, maybe 15 if I'm trading multiple things and I do like 3 trades on one product, but then there's also a range somewhere else. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've done 3 here. I'm up on the day. I can now play around with that, maybe size down a little bit, and then I will kind of keep going. But those are days when we're like extraordinarily quiet. There's like nothing happening, but there's still like a little bit of movement, and then I have to turn into a scalper, which is not my favorite. See, these sort of trades are what I strive for, what I effectively look for in a day. Is there a chance for us to get to the gamma wall at 555 in one kind of smoother movement? Quite possibly, right? And then I would just run it down. So gamma wall will be the first target, and then my second target would probably be, if we go into value acceptance, just for your information, the value high is located at 557.80 today on copper. So if we go below that, there's a very good chance of a full value rotation. I do believe there is settlement. Where's settlement? Hold on, I'm a little bit blind. Where did it settle yesterday? Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so settlement is all the way down at 550, which is a nice round number. Also, very close to the London value low. So that would be a good sort of stopping point. And in fact, if we look at the chart that way, I could even extend this. I could extend this to go all the way down to 550. And then if that starts really falling, then you have one mofo over trade. And this is how, you know, how I run up balances sometimes in the XFAs quickly, because I catch these sort of things on one mini, and then you get like, you know, 2-3K in one trade, and you're like, okay. Would I do that in the first day? No. First day of any new account is like 3 to 5 micros, depends on the size of the account. And then once they get to about 5-6K, I will go to the minis. If I get to over 20K, I will try to, but if that doesn't work, then I will go to 1 mini and 5 micros, just to kind of control the sizing a bit better. And, then you just work with the balance, like however it goes up or down, you size up or you size down, and it's dynamic, right? Maria Foster, my DOM link on Topstep looks different to yours. Any reason why? Level 2 data. I pay for level 2 data. If you don't have that, it's probably going to look like my ES ladder, which I don't pay for on this account. And it's going to look like this. Just like the two nearest prices, and that's it. Yeah. So you need to go into billing in your dashboard and then scroll to the level 2 data, and it is $39 per month. But just beware, it actually renews every first of the month. So it doesn't matter when you sign up. Even if you sign up on like the 28th and you pay the full amount, it's still going to recharge you, rebill you on the first. That's the exchange. That's not Topstep. They just pass on the fees from the exchange to us. But yeah, you do need level 2 data. You need depth of market. Right, so now we're at the time of day where, you just hope to stay in on this until LME opens and they kind of push more volume. Doubt that we're going to get the move here during the stream because we're also running out of time here. But yeah, you try a couple on one. At least that's how I'm doing things. If that doesn't work, I move on to the next product that looks a little bit better. Yeah. Paul H says, house move and trading and live streaming, not a good combo. I mean, I did it, right? Didn't help the fact that my main computer died. That didn't make it through the move. I don't know whether it got knocked or something. We also had my computer desk that took a massive dent. So that was probably why. And it happens, it was a big move, and it is what it is. So I actually used some of my Topstep payouts to get a new computer, which is the one that I'm using in Surrey, in England. Then I also got a new camera, which also you see back home. Obviously, I'm not going to bring a DSLR camera with me when I'm here, so this is just a crappy little laptop one. I do have a Sennheiser lavalier mic that I brought for you, so here it is. Because I didn't like the laptop sound, so I decided to invest. Yeah, and then what else did I buy? Yeah, I ended up getting a G Master lens as well, because that other lens that I first got I didn't like. I don't know. It didn't zoom in far enough. Oops, we lost the light. Okay, why did we lose the light? That was crazy. Yeah, so yeah, it was just not quite right. I wanted a bigger zoom, and yeah, it was. It looks much better now. I seem to have lost my access to OBS, so I don't know what's happening there. But yeah, so this trade is slowly trickling back down below the initial balance. We're well below the initial balance, so we just need some volume now for somebody to push it over the cliff. Paul H, I have a long in MGC that's playing out. Target is 33.49. I like the target. It is right around the round number. Okay, my light has decided to play up. Do I have an extra thing that I can do? I do not. Okay, we're gonna have to finish the stream because otherwise I'll be streaming in the darkness. The trader from the shadows. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna go hang with my mom. I actually also have to go visit my dentist here, who I've been with for a very long time. Yeah, so we'll see how this little idea plays out, and it doesn't matter that it's on a combine. It's still data, right? So it still goes in your journal. But yeah, so first target 555. If it carries on going down, very good chance of it going to 550, which is a full rotation. and then a return into that weekly and monthly ranges, in which case we have one hell of a swing on our hands. That's it for today. I will see you for lunchbox trading or Hoax Heroes later on today. I will charge my camera light. This has been the Euro Trade on TopstepTV. I'm Marcus Socrates. Thank you for hanging with me. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.